What's up, witches? Thanks for coming today and hanging out with me on this video about making sacred space. So this is something actually that I wanted to touch on as one of my first videos because it's really important to me, and I feel like it's really a basis for any magical practice, and it's something that everybody needs, I think, whether actually you have a magical practice or not. So I want to talk about a few things, but I'm also going to put a link to a guidebook that I created. It's just like a short, like I think it's 4 pages, little workbook for you to work in to like write down, what you want your sacred space to look like, what things you want to have in it, what you want to use it for, and just like a lot of things that we're going to be going over in this video. So you can print that out first, or you can wait until you've watched me talk for a little bit and then you can print it out and do it at your leisure, or you don't have to do it at all. You may already know what you want to do, or you may already have your own sacred space somewhere in your home or outside. So but that will be there for your use if you should like to have it. So the first thing I want to talk about is why sacred space is important. So, in our daily life, we are kind of constantly moving and doing, and it's important to have a place for us to come to and kind of draw into ourselves. It's important for us to have a place to quiet our minds and kind of get out of the daily rush, rush, rush. So for me, I have several places in my house that I would consider sacred space. So behind me, this is kind of one of them actually, and I'm going to take the camera down here in a few minutes and show it to you. And I'm sorry if this is shaking. My cats are kind of jumping around, so it may be kind of moving around. But it's important to me to have a space for myself that is a personal space, and then it's also important for me to have a space where my family is able to also take part in, coming to an altar space, and like for holidays, or if we're doing, a week of gratefulness or anything like that, to have something available. So that's actually out in my dining room, and then I have my own space here. So like behind me, I have my books and my tarot cards and some of the things that are really important to me. Let me go ahead and take this down and I'll just show you. Okay, so this is my sacred space in my corner here. So I have up here, this is my cards and things like that. And I keep my selenite tower up here to clear my jewelry, but also to kind of keep my cards clear because I use them quite a bit. This is a picture of my parents. That's important to me. And my husband made me this a long time ago. This is a gift from my mother. And actually, that's something that she used quite a bit in her own space and then passed on to me. So this wood is just vibrates with energy. And then I have a smoky and a clear quartz. And then my little dragon up here, because if you guys know me at all, you know I have to have my dragons. And then, I've got my other little guys around and stuff like that. So I've got books here that are important to me, stones, my nail file, because obviously I use that a lot. And then, books on magic, books on plants, and just, things that I use quite a bit in my life. And then over here, this is by my bedside, so sorry, that's not a great view, is it? And this is kind of my little corner here. So I just like these little guys. They're calming to me. Those are just kind of fun. This is something that my grandmother gave to me before she passed. So that's really important to me, and it's something that I keep up there and sometimes carry it with me, but mostly I keep it here. And then this was my great-grandma's. And that is where I keep my cards. So these are the angel cards that I told you guys about the other day. And that's where I keep those. So they're just right there by my bed where I can use them. And then I've got my important stones. That's like one of my favorite crystals. And then I've got grounding and an amplifying stone here. And my little Buddha with my fluorite there. So, I also kind of keep keep my important things here. I've got some books that I'm actually working in, and I use these a lot just for my own personal clearing. And of course pens, because everybody has to have pens, right? So that's pretty much my space there just next to my bed, that I really enjoy having, and it keeps my energy clear, and it creates a really nice safe place for me when I just need to have some time. Over here, I've got my computer. Let me move that because I wanted to know what I was talking to you guys about. But this is my altar space. So I'm going to back up a little bit here so you can see what my altar space right now looks like. I have a few things over the top, but I have, you know, a really amazing crystal here and my little dragon guide. And then this is all on top of a cabinet so I can keep my magical things under here. And I'm sorry it's so dark, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of what I have here. So I'll go ahead and show you my space out in the, or I guess it's the dining room now. We'll go on out there. This is my altar space out in my dining room. So there's my back doors open there, and I'm sure you could see my clutter behind it. But you know, this is more of a place, a community space. So this is what I use for holidays, and you know, if I'm doing anything with other people. So like this is my rose quartz. It's on red, so it's kind of hard to tell that it's a rose quartz, but I use that quite a bit in healing and Reiki, distance Reiki and things like that. And then I have my my smudge stick here. This is actually coated in dragon's blood resin, so I use that quite a bit for clearing. And then I have some really cool, like I have an incense blend. I'm not sure why that is so, there we go. And these are from, oh, I can't remember the name of the company of the women who make this. Oh, it's Moonlight Mystic. There we go. And I absolutely love them, so they're not paying me to tell you that. But they make really cool candles, and things like that. So that's something that I use on my altar a lot. I almost always have tourmaline because this is very grounding. So grounding stones are important, and right now we're in the season of love, so that's something that I have up there. And then I use these little scraps of paper for things that I want to focus on, put energy toward, or if I'm going to be doing a burning bowl, that's something that I'll use those for as well. And this is an old calendar. I still don't have my new one in yet. I'm waiting on it to get here, but that tells me, you know, what planetary things we're looking at and holidays, and it gives me some like cool information. So this is my space, my family space. So those are my main sacred spaces that I have set aside. And then during the spring and summer, I generally have kind of a garden-y area. We are in a, sorry, my cat has decided he'd like to join us, and he does batting the camera. So we do live in an apartment, so I mostly do container gardening, but I'll set up an area outside that I feel like I can meditate, because I really enjoy being outside and kind of, you know, communicating with nature. And yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. So if you enjoy outside, that's something to consider too. So when you're setting up your sacred space, you really just want to ask yourself, what's important to you? What do you want to use it for? And you know, go by like your own purpose. So like I have in the workbook, you know, if you're really into nature, and part of why you want to commune with nature, or part of why you want your sacred space is to commune with nature, then you don't want to have it inside where there's no windows. You know, you want to have this kind of in alignment with what you want to do. If your sacred space is a place for you to move your body, doing yoga or like ecstatic dance, then you obviously, you know, need to have enough space for yourself to move. So those are some things to take into account. If you want your family to be able to access your space, or if you want to have your space to yourself, I really enjoy having a space here in my bedroom right next to my bed because I can kick my husband out and have the space to myself. Having alone time is extremely important to me. That's really how I charge my battery. So, another thing to look at is whether or not you actually want an altar. So I'm sure you noticed my sacred spaces mostly consist of altars. And that's just something that I align with because I like to do spell work. I like to come to my altar for prayer, meditation to kind of get in touch with myself. I like to have working space. So, if you're just meditating, you may not need that. You may need like a corner with some really comfy cushions and some blankets and some low lights and candles and things like that. And that may be just the perfect sacred space for you. For me, I do a lot of spell work. I do a lot of energy work. I like to manipulate things. I like to create items, like magical items and spiritual items. I like to paint. So I need a space that I can set things out and work with my energy in that. Now, for some people, an altar is just a place where you can display things. So if you just want a place where you can, really set up your crystals so that their energy is flowing in your house and really creating kind of a vortex for you, then you would need an altar that doesn't, you don't need a lot of space to work on. So you may need something smaller or, want something smaller or that's, closer to the wall. There's just so many options and different things that you can do. So, that's something to look at. Do you want an altar? Do you need an altar? And if so, what do you want to use it for? A lot of people put things on their altar like, deity representations, magical tools, things like that. So I on my altar have 2 candles that represent the Lord and the Lady. For me personally, I don't see them as like there is a Lord and a Lady. Like I see it as the duality. So it's very personal to me to have them there as candles to represent the feminine and the masculine of the divine. So that's important to me. There are other people who really like to have an actual statue there to represent what they believe in as, the male god and the female god. So, think about, what you want to have on there. What are important things to you? I have things on my altar that are representations of loved ones who have passed away, people that I've cared about, and my guides. So, yeah. Just, what is personal to you? You want to make this personal to yourself. And on the workbook, you'll see that I'm so sorry. Charlie, stop. He wants to help so bad. I have some pictures of my altar where I lived before. So that even looks different than this because we're constantly changing. We're constantly coming more into ourselves. So our space is going to change with that. And it's important that once you've set up your space and you know kind of what the energy is there and what you want the energy to look like, that you also respect that space and that energy so that it stays consistent for you to support you. So if you want it to be really calm energy, but every time you go into that space you're mad and you bring that in there with you, then the energy is going to start feeling angry to you. So when you walk into your space, you may be like, why do I not feel, the sense of calm that I originally felt when I made the space? Well, it's because you're pulling angry energy into it. So before you go into your space, it's important to just kind of take a breath. Sometimes I like to even take a bath and like do kind of a clearing of myself if I've had a particularly difficult day. Or, do something to kind of help yourself get in that frame of mind or headspace that will help you to keep your energy right there, so that every time you go in, you kind of feel that calming, you feel the same way, you can get in touch with yourself, you can do what you want to do, and it's a good experience for you. And you're not creating a little corner of your home that just basically is where you throw all of your dirty energy, because we don't need that. We already have dirty clothes piles, we have trash pile, we've got the trash can, like we've got all the things where we put our waste. That is not a space for your energetic waste. So you want to make sure that you're watching that as well. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to talk to you about? So placing some grounding stones. I kind of touched on this earlier when I showed you my tourmaline. If you can put some grounding stones in your area, it really will help to keep the energy stable there. So personally, I do like tourmaline. Onyx is really good. Obsidian is really good. What am I trying to think of? Amber is an excellent stone for grounding and for holding really positive energy. So whatever you kind of align with, I would use some grounding stones in your area, and also some high vibration stones like selenite or clear quartz. Something like that, just to kind of keep the energy clear and flowing. So yeah, if you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer those. Check out the workbook. It's got, the information that I talked about here, and then gives you some other examples, and it has a space in it for you to write as well. So thank you so much for watching today. You guys are just a blessing to me. Have a blessed, blessed day. Namaste.